This is a podcast from WOR.
All right, 19 minutes now before 8 o'clock, and there's a new congressional district. Actually, I think it's the same district. It's just got different lines. Gary Ackerman is not running again. The 3rd Congressional District has been redrawn. Steve Israel will be running for election come November, and he's going to be challenged by Stephen Labate. Stephen is a 24-year vet from in the United States Army Reserve. He's a lieutenant colonel. He's on the telephone with me right now. Good morning, Stephen.
Hey, good morning, John. I really appreciate being on your show this morning. I really do.
No problem. First of all, because I believe that when you win, you will be my congressman.
There you go.
What are the parameters? Where are the lines drawn on this one now?
It now goes from Kings Park all the way in Smithtown, the entire North Shore of, Huntington, and then the entire North Shore of Nassau County to include a portion of Queens County in the Whitestone area.
Wow, and how far south does it go?
The borderline, and we haven't gotten maps yet, but the official maps on the Board of Elections, because they're still working out the exact blocks, from what I understand.
They're still trying to gerrymander it a little more, huh? I gotcha.
Basically, it looks like it's going to be the borderline somewhere in the area of the Long Island Expressway, somewhere around that area. We don't have the exact details.
All right, Stephen, you are not a politician, I don't believe, right?
No, I've never held elected office before, and I'm not a lawyer. So this entire...
Well, so far you've got two things in your favor, so go on.
Quite honest with you, the receptivity people have towards my story, as well as the fact that I've never held office before. And, I mean, let's face it, that in itself was the intent of the Founding Fathers. I don't necessarily believe that the intent of the initial signers of the Declaration of Independence and those who wrote the Constitution was that we'd have individuals holding office, elected office, Congress for 20, 30 some odd years.
George Washington could still be president today if he had wanted to.
Right. One of the acts that people look at as being most noble on his part was when he actually surrendered his power authority over the Continental Army, and people looked at him as so incredibly noble. But today, the problem is we have individuals who've held office for entirely too long. We have a certain class of folks in Congress who basically have lost touch with what the individual citizen goes through.
You'll be running, Stephen, Republican and conservative lines?
Right, that's exactly right.
All right. Are you still in the Army Reserve?
Yes, I'm actually assigned to the Pentagon at Headquarters Department of the Army. I'm there maybe 3-4 days a month.
All right, so this has been your job your whole adult life?
Well, I've been in the reserves for 24 years. I deployed actually for called to active duty 3 times since 9/11. I was in Iraq. I was in the Pentagon. I'm a certified retirement counselor, so I've been doing that for, say, 15, 16, 17 some odd years since 1992.
All right, you got a bunch of little kids.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They're sleeping, which is why I'm hoping they don't start banging on the door while I'm on the show. But, yeah, that's what...
Actually, that's okay. We like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, my wife is guarding the door right now. So, yes, twin 6-year-olds, Michael and Maria, and I try very hard to bring them to, political events when I can.
But as I understand it, one of the reasons you want to get into this mess is because you're not happy about their future.
Frankly, it wasn't even my idea initially to run for Congress. I got off the couch because of my concern for my kids' future. And I spoke at some events during the health care debate, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different people approached me saying that I should run for Congress against Steve Israel. Every time I said no, I mean, when someone comes to you and says you should run for Congress, there's that initial, what, are you kidding? And
right, that recoil, like...
right, exactly. And then after so many times, that's when I spoke to my wife, and, we discussed it, and she's 100% supportive of me. And now I find myself in this extraordinary circumstance where I come from, a humble house in Babylon and meeting United States senators about doing events for me in Washington. Mayor Giuliani, Steve Forbes has already endorsed me and is already did a fundraiser for me. And all these power players in the quote-unquote establishment have gravitated to me just as average folks who, who are in the district. It's extraordinary journey.
All right, Stephen, let me ask you this question, because I have talked with wannabe Congress people, wannabe senators, newbies. They have no experience whatsoever, and they are lucky enough because they truly believe in all of the right things, and they get themselves elected, just the way they should. And they go down to Washington, and the first thing that happens as they walk through the door after election is that the ruling class says, Stephen Labate, here's what you're going to do, and here's what you're going to say. How do you prevent yourself from being trapped in that?
Well, that's an interesting point. How the one thing that I would disagree with is there's a lot of folks, especially in that new class of Congress people who took office in 2010 that are not quote-unquote part of that establishment. So I don't think it's necessarily universal. You need independent-minded people like, for example, myself and my background. You know what, frankly, I'm not running for Congress because I'm looking for that corner office near the Capitol, or because, boy, I'd love to be at the State of the Union address. That's not even on my radar. I'm a man who's very comfortable in his own skin, and the only thing I look forward to is the fact that I'm doing the right thing for my children, because this is the way it's supposed to be. This is supposed to be a sacrifice. I am sacrificing time every single day away from my family so as to do this. So I think it depends upon the person you are, what your belief structure is. But I got to tell you, there have been some disappointments with individuals who didn't hold up to their values or maybe kind of swayed with the establishment. But I got to tell you something. There's also a lot of folks out there who have done really the right thing and have held up to their value system. And I'm definitely going to be one of them, believe me.
I'm assuming that you think that two of the problems are, one, the deficit, which is going to put us out of business, and two is Obamacare that's going to put us out of business.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And my hope is obviously that I lose the Obamacare issue over the next couple of days with the Supreme Court.
Right, it could happen any time.
Yeah, there's nothing that I'd like better. Again, this is not just about me. This is about the future of our country. But also another thing on top of what you brought up is the fact the lack of truthfulness in the debate, the incredible amount of spin, especially now since I've been so deeply nested in the process. I see what comes out of, for example, the words that come out of my opponent, and you know what, basically, I would say the fact that they're not even truthful. Their spin, I think, is the term that's used most in the media. I mean, it's such an incredible spin. Well, I support Medicare, I support seniors. However, Steve Israel cut $600 billion from Medicare. I support the defense establishment and veterans. However, he voted to allow this extraordinary sequestration. The United States Senate took over the budgeting process, and now we're going to have $500 or $600 billion cut from the Department of Defense come January. If you think about that, we're going to have an army within the 3 to 5 years with planning. All right, and this isn't secret or class. This is in the media. The size we had in 1940 because of the lack of action and the lack of leadership that we've seen from
disgusting. It is disgusting.
The current administration and Steve Israel, who in effect is President Obama's top lieutenant. It's very disappointing. These people, when you're elected to Congress, you're not elected to be just a manager of a staff or a manager of votes. You're there to lead. You're not there to push off your responsibilities as a member of Congress. You're not there just to make sound bites and hope to get through the next election. You're there to provide leadership. And that's something that I don't see in my opponent, in Steve Israel, or I haven't seen as well as in the current administration, which is why quite frankly, they have to go.
You're absolutely right, Stephen. I certainly hope that if you are lucky enough to be elected, that you will be able to go down there and show some leadership and not get, sort of tangled in the evil web that is Congress at the moment. Steve Labate, Republican from Long Island. Good luck to you.
Hey, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Stephen Labate, and I approve this message.